Good morning. I'm just doing a quick video in regards to, well, there's a few items on this list. The Scarborough Bluffs. It seems a lot of people are trying to crawl up these bluffs and getting caught and trapped. Now, mind you, in BC, they charge you. If they have to come rescue you, you got to pay for the rescue, okay? So, these people here got it just a little too easy. I don't know. All I can say is have a look at this.
A demanding high-angle rescue as firefighters scale the cliffs at the Scarborough Bluffs, battling high winds to rescue not one, but two stranded climbers.
This is literally one of the most demanding and challenging technical rescues I've ever witnessed. There's a lot of risk here. I mean, obviously our responders, our firefighters are well trained, but they are and we're assuming a very significant amount of risk in this operation today, and it is extremely difficult work.
Toronto Fire was called at about 2:45 this afternoon to the area of Undercliff Drive and Cecil Crescent, west of Brimley, for two adult women trapped near the top of what the chief describes as a freestanding pyramid-type geological feature, meaning crews could not access it from the top. It took nearly 3 hours for 5 rescuers to reach the climbers, working vertically and horizontally before they could secure the women with harnesses and ropes and bring them to safety.
There's a couple of challenges with this. One is, as you pointed out, this feature is completely void of vegetation. So there's nothing to grip onto, there's nothing to hang on to. They were actually using ice water picks to assist in trying to get up.
Just yesterday, crews had to retrieve 2 other people who were stranded nearly 100 feet up. It's frustrating for all emergency services that people just refuse to get the message. Not only because of the risk to crews and the public, but also for the significant drain on resources. Chief Lone.
All of us collectively continue to say there is nothing safe about trying to climb these bluffs, yet they continue to do it. These 2 young ladies incurred an extraordinary risk today. They are very, very fortunate to be, healthy, safe, and sound.
Low.
So, I guess if this is the forum to say, don't climb the bluffs, don't climb the bluffs.
So as you can see, these people aren't too freaking smart. Don't climb the bluffs. Next item up on the chopping block is this Syrian refugee who was arrested for murdering a 13-year-old girl named Marissa Chen. I'm really not okay. I'm not trying to say that all Syrian refugees are, murderers and all this, but they're starting a real trend, right? All across Europe and in the States and now here, right? Have a look at this.
News of the arrest today, relief for the family of 13-year-old Marissa Shen and the community, all looking for answers. For now, police won't speak to motive or how they narrowed in on Ibrahim Ali.
We still believe that this crime was a random act, meaning that Marissa did not know the suspect and vice versa.
Ali is 28 years old. He came to Canada as a refugee from Syria in April of 2017 and is now a permanent resident living in Burnaby. Shen was last seen leaving her apartment on a July evening in 2017. She was spotted on surveillance video minutes later at a Tim Hortons nearby. Not long after, her body was found in the park right across from her home. In a statement, her family says they hope she can finally be at peace in heaven. But for members of the local Syrian community, there are concerns about how these charges could change public perception about refugees.
This incident is an isolated incident. It's unfortunate that there are sick and criminal people out there, and these people can come from any community, and obviously the Syrian community is not immune to it.
A sentiment police echoed today.
I think by and large our refugees that come to the country are hardworking citizens that are very happy to be in Canada.
A statement from Public Safety Canada says it cannot comment on this specific matter, but it says safety and security are always a top priority and that Canada has a robust, multi-layered approach to refugees. Fears in the community, but it still leaves many more questions unanswered. Renee Filipponi, CBC News, Vancouver.
So basically that's, it's a sad situation, and I think we need to watch our kids a little closer. I don't know what to say. I think we need to watch these Syrian refugees a lot closer instead of just chucking them into society and, yeah, there you go. Do what you want. So, I mean, this guy traveled to Vancouver from, I guess, Burnaby, where he lives. And, the police are trying to make him look like this, total, like, out of the blue kind of thing. But, no, he's a hard-working guy. Yeah, hard-working at killing people. And, the whole community, the Syrian refugees who claim, they're worried because they're hardworking people, bullshit. Most of them are still on fucking welfare, living in hotel rooms, okay? There's very few that are actually already integrated into our society. A lot of them are just they don't want to integrate, and they don't want to assimilate. And this is what we're going to have over and over and over again, is these fucking refugees killing and raping and fucking doing whatever they want. And then the government lets them out the back door as soon as they go through court. It's a sick scenario. I think we need to try and stop that. The next thing on the chopping block is glyphosate again. It's been found in some foods. I think they said they tested 22 or 24 products, and over 2/3 of them had glyphosate in them. Watch this.
A red flag tonight about a widely used weed killer, glyphosate. Canadian environmentalists have found the chemical in more than a dozen foods most of us eat every day, including some popular brands. The herbicide found in the weed killer Roundup has been called a probable cancer risk. The question now, how much is too much? CTV's medical specialist Davis Favreau has this exclusive report.
Glyphosate is the most widely used weed killer in the world. Roundup was one of the best-known brands, and the herbicide is ending up in the food we eat, according to tests by Environmental Defence Canada. The group tested 18 foods and found traces of glyphosate in 14.
So what we're trying to do here is let Canadians know that these are the facts, that our foods contain glyphosate and that glyphosate is a harmful chemical.
The tests found trace amounts of the weed killer in a Tim Hortons sesame bagel, Kraft Dinner, Cheerios, President's Choice tortillas, and 2 brands of hummus. But critics say they are well within the range that Health Canada deems safe. But in 2015, the International Agency on Cancer Research reclassified glyphosate as probably carcinogenic to humans. Environmentalists worry people may be getting multiple doses from various foods throughout the day.
When we have evidence that a chemical is linked to cancer, I think questions need to be raised about, what is a safe limit?
That's the same question asked by some researchers who say the chemical accumulates in the body.
I think this is a gigantic experiment that's been going on for 40 years, and it's quite terrifying to me. I see very strong correlations between the rise in a long list of debilitating autoimmune, neurological, and oncological diseases, exactly in step with the rise in use of glyphosate on core crops.
Grain producers say the herbicide is an important tool deemed safe if used properly. In a statement, Bayer Crop Sciences, the makers of Roundup, write, Environmental Defence Canada and other activist groups are fear-mongering. This is yet another example of a publicity campaign that will no doubt cause some people to worry for no reason at all. But environmental groups behind the test has also launched a petition asking Ottawa for stronger laws protecting consumers against potentially toxic chemicals that are clearly ending up in the food supply. What's more, 4 of the products tested had no detectable levels of glyphosate. Arrowroot cookies, Doritos, 12-grain breads, and a Tim Hortons donut. Evidence, say environmentalists, that it's possible to have foods free of this controversial chemical.
So basically that's where we stand with glyphosate. We shouldn't have glyphosate in any of our effing foods, okay? This is stupid. Right before they crop down, they spray the crops with glyphosate, and then they crop it. Of course we're gonna ingest the fucking shit. It's not good. I did a video the other day showing a rep, lobbyist, saying how safe glyphosate was. You can drink it and it wouldn't kill you, but he wouldn't drink any. You know, he said, I'm not stupid. Well, duh, do you think we are? You fucking moron. But, so that's, you know, keep an eye out what food you're buying. They're doing a lot of tests. You can go online and check these environmental groups. They're doing a lot of tests right now on different foods to see what has glyphosate and what has, you know, what. They only found 4 products that didn't have glyphosate, okay? Even the Tim Hortons frickin' bagel had fucking glyphosate in it, okay? Not good, people. Another thing is Ted Danson. I guess he's he's the ocean savior now. Have a look.
A unique marine operation is underway right now, scooping up a massive heap of trash floating about in the Pacific. The garbage consists of about 1.8 trillion pieces of plastic, and in terms of area, it is twice the size of Texas.
Yeah, that tether was invented about 15 years ago by a 10-year-old, and it's like they're claiming that they made it and they're saving the ocean for a couple of chunks of fucking plastic.
But the oceans have their defenders beyond the skipper of that vessel we just showed you. One of them is actor and conservationist Ted Danson. It's known today as Oceanic Canada, and Ted Danson is with me all. So Ted, nice to see you.
Nice to see you too. I wish, but the message should not be, this is something we can clean up, because a lot of it, you should do what they're doing. I don't mean to say that. But you need to stop producing the plastic at source. You got to stop using one single-use plastic. The industry has to get behind this on a global level.
So, what about all the radioactive waste being dumped in the ocean from Japan and TEPCO in Fukushima? Does anyone give a fuck about that? Like, aren't we just band-aiding the problem by grabbing the top stuff and not worrying about what the quality of the water is? You don't got to worry about fish choking on plastic if there's no fish in the friggin' ocean.
But the good news is there are a lot of good things that are happening to our oceans, especially for our oceans, especially here in Canada. You guys in the last 3 years have committed to putting $200 million in the next 5 years into science, hiring scientists.
So you invest all these millions to clean the top of the ocean, and then you ignore the real problem.
There are a lot of things working. My father was an archaeologist. He was a scientist. Yep. I had that kind of sense, even though I was off playing and not paying a lot of attention, that we're stewards, you know, of our time that we're on this planet. Mm-hmm. So leave things in better shape than when you got them, kind of philosophy.
So I think the real issue should be stopping the contamination from Japan dumping all these isotopes in the water, and the corporations who are dumping all of their waste into the oceans. All the cruise ships are dumping all their waste into the oceans. I mean, there's got to be better ways we can deal with dumping all this shit. And, you know, into the ocean is just not working, is it? I think what we need to all remember is that the Pacific Ocean connects to other bodies of water, and that radiation is going to spread to all these other bodies of water, okay? It's not like it's a fucking lake. So we need to stop Fukushima in order to stop this waste of the ocean. Let's not worry about a couple of chunks of plastic. Like I said, there's not going to be any fish left to eat the plastic, so it's kind of a Band-Aid. It's a useless, very expensive Band-Aid. I don't know. I'm lost for words, people. Another item on the bid here is the Sajjan jerk-off. He's the Minister of Defense of Canada. He was caught lying about his military career, okay? Watch.
Canada's Defence Minister lies about his war record. Harjit Sajjan has to be fired as the Minister of National Defence. Why? Because he did one of the worst things you can do in the military. He lied about his battlefield record in public, on purpose. This was no slip of the tongue. Actually claimed that he was the one that designed Canada's biggest offensive during our military's time in Kandahar.
So on my first deployment to Kandahar in 2006, I was kind of thrown into an unforeseen situation, and I became the architect of an operation called Operation Medusa, where we removed about 1,500 fighters, Taliban fighters, off the battlefield.
So tell me, why is this snapperhead allowed to lie and keep his government position when any one of us, if we lied about our education or a criminal record or something like that, we'd be fired or laid off, okay? Think about it. They're getting away with murder. It's not good. Have a boo.
A copy of his speech was posted on the Government of Canada's website, and it shows that this was always the plan. What he said was slightly different than the text, but the text still claimed he was the architect. He wrote, "On my first deployment to Kandahar in 2006, I was the architect of Operation Medusa." Fisher, who broke the story, points out Sajjan was simply a major in the reserves when Operation Medusa went down. Fisher, who's really Canada's only remaining war correspondent, he wrote, "It would be highly unusual for majors from the reserves to be the architects of large combat operations. Planning the battle? Not Sajjan. Veterans that were there are calling his claim a bald-faced lie." Sajjan's now apologizing. He's acknowledging that he goofed up. But is that enough?
Goofed up? Are you serious?
I'd say no. Sajjan has to do the same. He has to resign or be fired. I mean, will he have the confidence of Canadians after taking credit for someone else's work on the battlefield? This is a government that already has plenty of problems with fake news and false narratives being passed off as truth. Justin Trudeau claimed to have met a Russian dissident he'd never met to bolster his foreign affairs credentials. And then there's just their simple lies on policies, from the size of the deficits to defense spending. Sajjan must resign or be fired.
Wake up, Canada. These are the fools you've elected for our government. And now you've left us, the patriots, to clean up the mess and get rid of this bunch of jackals. And basically, where does this end, right? You know? We have to get rid of these mooks.